What's up, home bartenders? Today we're making homemade Bénédictine liqueur. Let's do it. So Bénédictine is a cognac-based herbal liqueur with a whole bunch of herbs and spices, and I believe sweetened with honey. There's a long shopping list for this one, but stick around, it's gonna be fun. And like a lot of my homemade liqueurs, I'm making this for the first time when I film it, so I have no idea how it's gonna turn out, but I'm sure it's gonna be good, and I'm sure we're gonna have a fun time, so stick around, guys. Let's make Bénédictine. So as I mentioned, pretty extensive shopping list here, but most of the stuff can be found pretty easily online, or if you have like a specialty food store. So we're gonna need some brandy, of course, to make our infusion. You can use cognac, but I'm not gonna go with an expensive. I'm gonna go with a fairly cheap brandy. We're also gonna need some Angelica root, hyssop, lemon balm, cinnamon sticks, clove, some nutmeg, star anise, some dried thyme, fresh lemon peel, some saffron, that's probably the most expensive ingredient, and a vanilla bean. There's one more ingredient, cardamom pods, that I couldn't get on time, so I'm going to omit that one. I couldn't find the pods. I do have the ground cardamom, but I don't like using ground spices in liqueurs because they're very hard to strain out afterwards. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it out of my infusion, and at the very end, I'm just gonna do a couple dashes of cardamom bitters. Hopefully that'll just introduce a little bit of cardamom flavor. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna infuse all of these flavors with our brandy. I'm gonna use Sous Vide because it's a lot faster. It's only gonna take 2 hours, but you don't have to. You can put everything in a mason jar, let it sit in a cool, dry place for about a week. And after that, once we've infused and we strain out all the solids, we're going to add some honey syrup. This is a 3-to-1 honey syrup. You can check out my syrups episode if you want to learn how to make that, but essentially it's just a mix of honey and water, 3-to-1, 3 parts honey, 1 part water. Mine is starting to crystallize at the bottom. It's been a while. It's still good, but we're gonna mix that part, at least the liquid part, we're gonna mix that in, and that's gonna make our final liqueur. Okay, let's start with our brandy. We want 450 ml of brandy. Gonna measure that out, and I'm gonna put it in our sous vide bag right here. I'm not super precise with the measurements, guys, and I do always aim for a little over. My final bottles that I use for my liqueurs are 500 ml. I aim to have about 550 to 600 ml of liqueur because in the straining process, there's always a little waste. Okay, once the brandy is in, we get on to our herbs. We're gonna start with some Angelica root. We want 1 teaspoon of Angelica root. After that, we're gonna do half a teaspoon of hyssop, half a teaspoon of lemon balm. We're gonna do about half a cinnamon stick, grate in about half a teaspoon of nutmeg. We're also gonna add about 1 to 2 whole cloves. I didn't film that part, or I missed it in the edit. Half a star anise, some dried thyme, half a teaspoon, 3 peels of lemon. There we go. And onto our saffron, just about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm really not measuring. I just kind of put some in my palm of my hand, dump that in. But yeah, 1/8 of a teaspoon of saffron, and about 1/4 of a vanilla bean that is split in half. Of course, those cardamom pods that I decided to omit, if you have those, about 2 to 4. We're then gonna vacuum seal that using our food saver here. This one has a liquid setting. It has to have a liquid setting, otherwise this won't work. And we're gonna drop it in the sous vide at 135 for 2 hours. If you're just infusing in a mason jar, it's gonna take about 7 to 10 days. All right, I like to use a spatula here to weigh it down under the water. And then once it's done, we're simply going to cut it open, and we wanna strain that either through a cheesecloth or I've got a nut milk bag here. You could use a coffee filter, but that's gonna take a lot longer, and I don't think it's necessary. Before we add our honey syrup, I'm going to pour myself a glass of Bénédictine to compare. Okay, so we filtered out the infused brandy. I've got some Bénédictine here. It's gonna be my taste comparison. I'm just gonna add a bit of honey syrup to start into our mix and see where we are. I'm gonna start with 100 ml. Okay, so visually, color is good. Mine's a bit cloudier, but if you've seen a lot of my previous liqueur videos, you know that that's absolutely normal. When you make a liqueur, especially ones with things like herbs and spices. A lot of sediment leaches off of those, makes a cloudy liqueur. After a couple weeks, everything's settled at the bottom. You can, or you don't have to, but you can filter it again, then it gets much clearer. All right, baseline. So good. All those spices, cinnamon, and those kind of leaves like Angelica root and the hyssop and like tea leaves almost. Very nice. And then sweetness, sweet honey, and that little bit of bite from the cognac. Let's try mine. Hey, similar, different, but very similar. Oh, that's really good. I like it. I don't know if I would add more. So one thing, this one's a little more syrupy. I find my homemade liqueurs are a little less syrupy because I add the sugar afterwards, and I do it in the form of a syrup. A lot of liqueurs, they add the sugar directly in the infusion, so it dissolves directly into the spirit, and then it kind of thickens it so it gets a syrupy consistency. The only reason I could do that, obviously, the reason I don't is because I'm doing this, you know, when I make my liqueurs, I'm doing it for the first time. I don't want too much trial and error, so I don't want to put too much sugar and waste a batch. So by doing it afterwards, I can really kind of dial it in where I want it. Professional liqueurs, well, they have all the time in the world to tweak and test and make mistakes and get the product perfect. I don't have that luxury. Wow, that's really good. You know what, it almost kind of tastes like, we're gonna make another comparison here. I was getting yellow chartreuse vibes off of mine, so I want to give it a taste test, see where it stands against that one. This one's got more herbs. This one's got more spices like the Bénédictine, but this one's more herbal. Oh, but they're very similar. Oh my God. Wow. I almost feel like mine's like in between. Let's try these two. I mean, you really shouldn't be doing a taste test like this. You should be like drinking water and cleaning your palate in between like everyone. However, yeah, Bénédictine and yellow chartreuse, remarkably similar. A little more on the spicy side, a little more on the herbal side. But in terms of sugar content, in terms of kind of general direction of flavor, they're both herbal liqueurs. I don't know what the spirit is in this. This is definitely cognac. This is probably more of a neutral spirit. Doesn't say. I know the monks, they keep this a very huge secret. I can maybe do a touch more honey syrup, but other than that, I think it's good. And yeah, I think we're gonna bottle it. Well, I think I'd call that a success, guys. It may not be an exact replica, but it is a viable substitute. So if this is something you're not able to find, then this will work great. Now, before we go, why not make my favorite Bénédictine cocktail, the Monte Carlo? Oh man. Yeah, there it is. Wonderful spicy rye flavor. Beautiful, what I like to call Christmas spices from our Bénédictine, Odidictine in this case. Damn, that's good. Guys, we recently remade Quina Lillet, a long lost liqueur, so you can check out that video if you want to see that recipe. Otherwise, we have an entire playlist of homemade liqueurs and homemade infusions. Check out this playlist right here. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.